Right. Let's finally get you finished.
Hello, down there. Hello. Can you hear me?
Bill?
Yeah, it's me. It's Bill from Bill Making Stuff. I'm here to invite you to the Big Bot Bash.
Oh, sweet.
Take this junk bot generator. There you go. You take that, you roll a dice, you get your little prompts, and you build a robot using those prompts. You can interpret them however you like. Build a bot, make a video.
So is that for the new one, for this year?
No?
Oh, it's just I thought that...
Don't worry about that. I'm just going to, I've got to go.
Right, well, it looks like you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. Because we've got a bot to make. Yeah, no, but Bill didn't ask me to do this. I just really wanted to have a go at it. So I printed off his junk bot generator and started rolling the dice. So for the body, I got 19, which is speed holes. For the head, I got 2, which was 3x3 eyes. For the arms, I rolled a 7, which is one-armed bandit. For the hands, I rolled an 11, and that's Scorcher. For the legs, I rolled a 9, and that was Centaur. And then for the flavour, I also rolled a 9, which is Too Many Spikes. I don't know why that isn't focusing. Anyway, you get the general idea. Let's go make a bot. First things first, I'm going to need some Greeblies. And we went down the car boot sale and picked up a load of toys. And I got this kind of like, I think it's a G.I. Joe Dragonfly replica by the looks of it. But it's got this mean gun on the side of it, and I definitely want to make use of that. We also got this little treasure. And these bits, I know I definitely want these. And I can't get to them without taking off the wheels. So I couldn't find another way to take the wheels off. So I'm going to have to saw the bar. There we go. And it's these bits here. Look how cool they are. So I also want some lights on this, and I'm going to use my old faithful corkscrew lights. And eventually we're going to be making a flame out of cotton wool like this. So I just wanted to check how it looked before I moved on to the next part. Right, more Greeblies. I got these guys. Love them. How cool are they? They've got some really awesome bits, and I'm thinking, because it says it's a centaur, these would be awesome legs for it. So if I can just get this. This is a nightmare. There we go. We've got the legs. And I've got this part of an old mouse that I took apart, so it's just like the top bit of a mouse. And this will slot into here, which I think will work well. And I was able to slot the back legs in here as well and slide them all the way back. Then I found an old vitamin bottle that I've been keeping in my Greebly box. And hopefully that'll work for the body. So I've put my cork light in place. And as a happy accident, there's a way to access the switch underneath here. So that worked out pretty perfect. So I've been taking apart some old PCs and laptops that have just been sitting in the attic all broken because the Dino Lord thought he was a hacker and tried to install all kinds of stuff on them and broke them. So I've been taking those apart, and I got this from one of the PCs. So I think that'll work well as a mesh over the back. Right, the gun that we took off the Dragonfly replica. I've split it in half so that I can fit the wire through it. So the wire will come out at the end as a flame and then light up. Because it says it's a Scorcher, so I figure if he's got a flamethrower on his one arm, because he's a one-arm bandit, remember? I think that'll work. Now I'm using some foam clay, and I'm just going to use it to fill out some of this area here. And I'm well aware that I'm never going to be able to change these batteries ever again, which I'm a bit gutted about in hindsight, but what's done is done. I'm just adding some markings to it just to give it a bit of interest, even though you're never going to see these. And these are more bits that I got when I took apart all them laptops and PCs. So I'm going to saw a few of them. Oh, we got a little nosy pup that's come to see what's going on. Hello. Right, I've also kept a load of wires from the PCs and stuff. So I'm going to put a load of these inside this foam clay before the foam clay dries to hold it in place. And I just want like a mess of wires in here. I've now decided that I want lights in there with the wires, so I'm just cutting into the vitamin bottle because I want this cork light inside there, but I want access to the switch, and I think that'll be alright. Okay, cool. I've decided to make the light that's inside the vitamin bottle be the light that's going to be coming out of the end of the gun, and the one that's inside the mouse, I'm going to use those lights to tangle through all these wires at the back here. This is going to be a bit finicky. I probably should have thought of this before I started attaching the colourful wires in the foam, but it's done now, and I can see what it looks like when it's lit up. Woohoo! Oh, yes, I'm buzzing with that. That looks better than I thought it was going to, so I'm really, really pleased. Pop the mesh over the top, and yes! Right, so I'm going to add some plaster to some paint and some Mod Podge, just so I've got a bit of a textured paint to go over this vitamin bottle. I want it to kind of be stodged on, if that makes any sense. So this was my first time having a go at making something just sort of from scratch out of Greeblies. And you know what? It has been so much fun. If you haven't ever done anything like this before, I would recommend having a go because it's really good. Just being able to make it up as you go along, you know? So I've got this other Greebly here and I'm just going to heat it up because it's not quite bent at the right angles that I want it at. So if I heat it up, it just makes it a little bit more malleable. And then I can hold it in place until it sort of cools down and I should get the angles I want. There we go. And I figured these could be some eyes. These little lamps in here. So it's supposed to have 3x3 eyes, yeah? So I thought that meant like 9 eyes originally. But then when I looked at 3x3 eyes, in anime it is actually just like 3 eyes or something. I'm not really much of an anime enjoyer, so I didn't really know, but I had to Google it because I didn't understand what it meant. So I'm going to have to improvise with the eyes thing, unfortunately. I don't know what I'm doing with that, so I'm just going to put things where I think I want them. And hopefully that's okay. Right, so this was a nightmare to glue this mesh on. I tried super glue, it didn't work, so I'm using just hot glue and we're going to have to tidy it up later. I've added a few more Greeblies and then I'm going to have to sand some stuff down so that it glues properly. And then we can start gluing our gun in place. This is an exciting part. Because I really like that gun. Hey! Don't tell me you don't make noises like that when you play with toys. Right, so we're going to tidy up some of the edges a bit. And I found this chain, which was like a wallet chain. And I thought, right, I think I know what I'm going to do here. So I'm just going to put some foam clay over these bits of glue. Take a bit of water on my finger, smooth it out into the bits where it's needed to be smoothed. And then before it's dry, I'm going to push this chain into the foam clay all the way around the back and the sides. And this is how it looks. Bit more foam clay to hide some gaps and stuff like that. And again, taking some water on my finger just to blend it a bit. So on the last roll of the dice, we had too many spikes as the flavour. So I've cut the ends off some skewers and stuck them in between the holes on the chain. Right, and these bits that were a pain in the backside to get off, we can finally stick those on now. I'm going to have to cut them a little bit with my saw, give them a bit of a sand, and then we can glue them on. And then I've got these, which were from a Kinect set that I got. I got a massive job lot of Kinect from the boot sale as well, which I was buzzing with, so it's nice to see these coming in handy. And the Dino Lord gave me some, well, I say he gave me some paint mixers, because he like restores cars, so he has a lot of paint mixers from when he comes to the painting stage, and I had my eye on them, he had a load of them, and I was like, can I have a few of those please? So he let me have some of these. Now I've just taken this bit and put it at the front so it's kind of like a bit of a rib cage. And the other side. And there it is. Oh, I also got a truck from the car boot sale and it came with this. And I love this. So there's so many Greeblies in one place on this thing. So we're going to utilise some of those bits and stick them on. These were a pain as well to glue on. I tried some... is it plastic cement? The Tamiya plastic cement? I see a lot of other people using that, so I had a go at it, and it didn't really work for me. I don't know if I'm using it wrong. If you know how to use it, let me know. I did sort of put it on both parts, put them together, waited ages, and it just didn't work. Right, and this will be the central eye. Which again is just another Greebly that I've had. Another couple bits off that truck rack. And I'm going to fit those inside the rib cage here. And remember the weird guy from earlier? If you know who this guy is, by the way, let me know, because I haven't got a clue. I just picked a couple of them up and thought they looked good. So I'm going to take his claws and cut them up and pop them on here. I'm going to use them again a bit later as well. And I got this little steering wheel, which I think is perfect in the centre there. I've now attached some wires to the little lumps that I want to be the eyes. And look at that. It kind of, if you don't take into account the other 4 lights underneath, it kind of is 3x3 eyes now, isn't it? We're going to put a few more bits at the front here to add a bit of interest. These again are just more bits that I've cut off that truck cage thing. That was one of the coolest purchases. I had so much use out of it. Alright, now there's loads of gaps on this machine gun, which I don't like, so I'm going to try and fill them in. But I'm not going to use a filler or anything. I've decided I'm going to use this Das air dry clay.
Good hunt.
Oh, that'll be my phone. Got a message.
Welcome home, good hunter.
Should have turned the volume down on my phone before I started recording, really. Anyway, I knew these things would come in handy. I've been dying to use them on something for ages. Alright, and now he needs a bit of a belt on his waist. So he's going to have a badass belt, which I've made with a bit of foam clay. And then using the chain to wrap over it again, like what I did around the back. And then I found this really cool thing, which I think will look really good in the centre there. Oh yeah, that'll do it. So there's its back belt. Right, now it's time to work on the legs. Leg day. So I've got these tiny little chains and I'm going to put them on the back and the front of each of the lower legs. Another part of the man's claw, just to hide his modesty a little bit here, you know? It's looking a bit vulgar under there. Come on, mate, cover yourself up. And here's how it's looking so far. I'm not keen on these little front and back, I don't know what you'd call them, toe claws. So I've cut some EVA foam into the shape of them, and I'm going to put that over these using some Fix-A-Fix. Oh, Fix-A-Fix is the best thing ever. It's a contact cement and it is such a good glue. I use it so much when I'm using like thick pieces of EVA foam for cosplay and stuff, and it is just, oh, I could not have made my Space Marine without using this stuff. There we go, that looks better. But I think they need a bit more detail, so we're going to add some rivets with these little beads here. Sweet. And now that's done, it's the fun part! Oh, I can finally primer it. I've been waiting for this for so long. Right, now we can paint it. So I've got this Vallejo black liquid acrylic that I'm going to put through my airbrush. I'm just going to paint the whole thing in that black. And then I've put a zenithal highlight on it, alright? Because I've seen other people do that and I thought it was quite profesh. Turns out, didn't need that, shouldn't have done it because I've done this. I painted it all in copper. And to be honest, I wasn't keen. So I've ended up just putting like a regular black acrylic over bits of it, which looks a bit messy now, but it is going to be a good base for us to put the rest of our acrylic on because I've finally settled on a colour. So I want to go with the plate metal silver, red and yellow. And I know at the moment it looks a bit like a Power Ranger Megazord from Wish. So it looks a bit shit, but I have got an idea which I think might help it not look so shit. So bear with me. And aha! See? This was my plan. I thought if I gave it like hazard markings, it might take away from the whole Power Ranger-y thing. I think it looks kind of cool. You can let me know. I'm going to paint on some plate mail silver, kind of dry brushing it so that the indented areas still stay black. And I enjoyed doing this. I do like a bit of dry brushing. It's quite satisfying, isn't it? And the gun. Love this gun. I don't know if I told you, but I love this gun. And here's what it looks like once it's painted. And I'm a lot happier with it than I thought I would be. Well, the issue now is I want it to look weathered, and I'm really scared of ruining it because I spent so long on this paint job, so I'm just gonna have to go for it. Right, now we need to mess up all that paint by making it look rusty. So I got this stuff from Model Rail Scene, and I picked this up for 75 pence from a railway museum that we went to last summer, and I was buzzing about this. So I'm going to use this with some PVA glue, and what we're going to do is we're going to make what Bill Making Stuff likes to call crusted. So we're going to try and make our own crusted here. So I'm just mixing it with the PVA glue, I'm going to add some burnt sienna and some burnt umber and mix it all together. It's a bit too liquidy at the moment, so we're going to add more of the turf material to it. Thicken it up a little bit. Make it more rusty crusty. Oh, and would you look at that? I've snapped the bastard. So anyway, we're going to apply the rust now, liberally as we want. We're going to put it in all the areas where we want it to look super gnarly. And this is what it looks like after the rust's gone on. Don't look fantastic yet, but we've still got a lot of painting and weathering to go. So we'll start with adding some sort of like oil drip type effect on it. And darken up all the crevices and stuff. Whenever you say crevice, do you think of Lenny Kravitz and think Lenny Kravitz, or is it just me? I'm not sure why. But yeah, we're gonna Lenny Kravitz the shit out of this. Add some dirt and grime to the pipey bits at the front. And then on the spikes, I'm just gonna add some dark at the base of each one and then kind of dirty them up a little bit. And then when we come to the chains, I wanted them to look a bit rustier. So I'm adding like a rust colour to the chain and then just darkening the areas around it before dabbing it with a paper towel. And now the legs. So we're going to shade all of the areas, make them look grimy, filthy. You don't know what this bot has been walking through.
The bog of eternal stench!
And then I'm going to speed this up a bit because I'm just adding some bits of like chipped, dirty metal. And then I'm going to add like a rust colour over the top of it and try and blend them all in a little bit. So everything I've done on this side of this leg, I'm going to have to do then on all the other legs and on the inside as well. But I'm quite happy with how it's looking now. So we need to add more oil and rust and stuff to the rest of the bot as well. So the gun, we're going to do the gun. The gun is almost unrecognisable. And I was a little bit gutted thinking, oh, have I ruined it? Because I quite liked it when it was just painted and clean. But I do want it to look weathered, like it's been out swamping, you know? Back to the legs again for a bit more shading and filth. More grime, dirt, oil. He is proper filthy. Right, and then I've got this Citadel texture paint, which is a bit old, but I think it'll work. So I'm going to just gloop on a lot more of that because I want more rust on the gun. I know it's a bit rusty as it is, but I want more.
More!
All right, Kylo, calm down. I'm doing it. And then once that's dry, going to go over it with some black acrylic just to tie it in with the rest of it. I'll come back in and rust that up in a bit. But for now, we're on to the legs again. And it's feet time. So we're just going to shade it, dirty it. And then I come in with a bit of water on the brush just to blend it in a little bit. And then dab it off with a towel. And the paint on the gun is dry again. So I'm going to go in with some rust colour on this and just kind of dry brush it over where I've put the Citadel texture paint. And I've got this true copper, so I'm going to go over a few areas with this as well, just to give it a bit of a metallic-y tone. Before wash! It's wash time! And this wash is disgusting. It looks like blood. It's proper minging, but I love it. It added so much after I put this on. I was so happy. It's exactly what I was looking for. I got this from the Dino Lord for Christmas, along with some other Army Painter war paints. I love these Army Painter war paints. They are so good. The coverage you get from them is amazing. I'd absolutely recommend them. If you're looking for some paint, you're starting out in model making or anything, Army Painter, definitely the way to go if you ask me. Now I'm just going to dab a little bit of plate mail back onto the very tip of each of the rivets. Just so you can kind of see a bit of metal still shining through there underneath all of the rust and grime. Now some more of this red quick shade on the undercarriage. And on the chains on the legs as well. So I'm pretty much putting this in all of the crevices. I wanted it to look oily. I was a bit gutted when it dried and it didn't look wet. I liked it when the paint was wet. And the red quick shade does dry with a kind of wet look to it. So it's absolutely perfect for what I wanted. So now it's time for the flame. So I'm going to just hot glue on a load of cotton wool to the lights that are coming out of the gun. I quite enjoyed this, even though I was really scared. I did do a tester first to make sure that I was at least slightly competent at doing this. And then I was buzzing because I got to use my brand new airbrush spray booth, which I then proceeded to mess up straight away. Good times. See, I just covered it with a standard yellow at first. Again, this is the Vallejo stuff.
It's a Vallejo, I'm sure it's Vallejo. It's a Vallejo, I'm sure it's Vallejo. It is Vallejo, Vallejo.
Again, this is the Vallejo paint that I got with the airbrush. And then I went in with some red, quite bright red, mainly just on the front end of it, and then spraying a little bit further down towards the gun. And then once I was happy with the red, I switched to black just to give it that smoky effect on the end. Again, same as the red, I'm kind of doing it mainly onto the end. And then lightly as it gets towards the area where the flame is supposed to be coming from. And I wasn't too pleased. I thought I needed more red, so I've gone back in over the top with a bit more red, and I was really glad that I did because I'm so much happier with it now. And it's time to take it away, because it's finally time to reveal the end product. So here he is, introducing...
Flame Boy!